Hello, everyone. Wow. I'm glad you guys are all here. My name is Stephanie Sims, and I am the founder of Financeability. And the reason I'm here tonight is because I am part of the Venture Devils program. How many of you guys have heard of Venture Devils? You guys don't count. You already know it. Kind of? A little bit? Okay, super. So I don't want to take too much time, but if you're thinking about creating a venture, like a company that would actually launch a product or launch a service, a software product or something like that, Venture Devils is a great step towards helping you build the team and the expertise that you would need. And as a member of the program, you also get access to opportunities to pitch and to funding opportunities through 2 events that we do throughout the year called Demo Days. So if you're listening, if you're in the entrepreneurship space and you're excited about it and you think you might want to start a company, Venture Devils could be a great place for you to get connected with a mentor and with other resources to help you do that. But that's not the only reason I'm here. Brent asked me to come and talk to you guys for just a few minutes about a lesson that I've learned as I've built companies and also as I've taught and worked with entrepreneurs like yourselves. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight is the fact that curiosity is actually a superpower. And most people think that asking questions means that you look silly. But the reality is, when you ask good questions, you actually get a lot more of what you want. So does that feel counterintuitive for anyone? Everybody likes to ask questions? Oh my gosh, okay, well I'm in the right place. I don't have to tell you anything. How many of you guys feel like when you're trying to talk to somebody and convince them to do something you want them to do, questions are useful? Has anybody tried that technique? Yes? Yes? So what are your favorite questions that you ask people when you're actually trying to get them to buy into your idea? I've got one. What do you think, right? Or what if we did it this way? Right? So how many of you guys have kind of envisioned a project and shared your vision more with a what if statement as opposed to, hey, here's what I think we should do? Wow. You guys are lively. It's okay, no worries. So maybe the easier way to say this then is, do you guys feel like you already know everything there is to know about curiosity? No. So what do you feel like you don't know about curiosity? Or what would your questions be about curiosity and how it might help you in your career or in your venture? Oh my gosh. Come on. You had a good one, I saw you.
I'm just thinking it's like a really broad question to ask what you don't know about curiosity.
Well, what are you curious about? Is there something in specific that brought you here tonight that you were like, oh, I really want to understand something?
I've just been getting a lot of really good information from coming to these seminars with understanding other people's trial and error on figuring out how to do business startups and what works and what doesn't.
Okay. Well, so maybe I can give you an example of my experience where asking questions actually would have been helpful, and I didn't do it. So I used to work in banking. I worked with people who wanted to invest a lot of money in real estate, and I got to work on this really cool project. And I was like the person in charge for this project. And my boss said to me, hey, we're going to let you run this meeting. And I had been working really hard on all these details for the project, and I had this huge Excel spreadsheet that had all these financial numbers in it that I thought was going to be the topic of conversation. And so I walk into the meeting, and I don't even introduce myself, and I sit down, and I start to go through all these details, and about 5 minutes in, the person sitting in front of me says, excuse me, who are you, and what project are you working on? Because this was actually a very high-powered investor who was doing multiple investments with the company that I was working with and didn't even know what project I was working on, right? And so in my concern about trying to impress this person and show them how much I had learned and how great everything I had done was, I completely missed the opportunity to actually connect with him as a human being, and he ended up not investing. So my boss was very unhappy with me, and I was kicking myself too, because of the fact that I didn't ask some simple questions at the beginning. And had I been more interested in him and what it was he was trying to learn, as opposed to me trying to share everything that I had created, I think I would have been more successful in that conversation. And that's why, for me, as I've learned through other experiences, the fact that asking someone a question just to understand what they think you're there for can be really valuable. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody? Am I the only one who's done that, or has anybody else done that? Nope, I'm the only one. Okay, well, please don't make that mistake. That's really painful. One of the things I wanted to share with you guys is that it's not just questions like, hi, how are you, and things like that. But if you can use questions in a way to connect with the person and to actually gather information about where they are in terms of their thinking, in terms of their emotional state, and also in terms of their commitment to your project, a lot of times you can actually move forward a lot more quickly. And so, how many of you guys are building like a team, either for a class project or for a venture? Anybody working on it? I'm hoping Christian's going to talk about this also when you talk about your pitch, because one of the biggest challenges in venturing is actually creating and sustaining a team and sharing your vision with them. Because quite often when you say, hey, we're going to build something, they have a picture in their mind of what you're going to build, and it's probably nothing like the picture that you have in your mind of what you're going to build. And the problem is, if you're both trying to build something but you haven't agreed on what it is, quite often that creates challenges not only for you, but for them when they discover, no, this was your vision, right? So one of the big things that creates, that kills a lot of companies is founder conflict. And the sooner that you can try to understand what your team thinks you're trying to accomplish and what they think their role in that goal is, the quicker you can actually understand if you've got the right people on the team and if you need to adjust expectations, right? And you guys have all done like group projects in your classes, right? So like how many times in a group project have you been like, oh, but I thought you were doing that, right? So how have you handled that in the past? I'd be interested to know. Do you guys like use Excel spreadsheets and like just say, okay, this is your assignment, or do you talk it out?
There's been a couple times where we've created physical lists to make sure that everyone knows exactly what they do and that everyone knows where to look for it if they forget what they need to do.
Okay. And do you feel like that kind of replaces communication?
No, I think it reinforces it.
Okay.
I think verbal consent to understanding is the first step, but a physical version of it is just reinforcement.
Right, it helps people track.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were going to say something?
Yeah, so like right now I'm in residency operational class.
Mm-hmm.
So like we have making PowerPoints. Like at the top of the PowerPoints we'll put like whoever's name of whoever slide they're doing. And a lot of times even if you put their name there, it doesn't mean you're gonna do it. So that's a problem. But I think if you're on a team with someone who all like is motivated and they want this thing to work, I think that's the best way to like get people to do their part.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that is not the case, which is unfortunate. But
So why do you think that is?
whether or not they don't care,
Yeah.
because it's just a grade and they know they'll probably get an A either way. But
Okay.
I'm saying that
Okay.
if you're from venture devils, like if you're doing a project where you hope to see a company like come out of it, then I think you're more self-motivated than if it's just, oh, this is another class I'm taking. So I think they're like probably two different things.
Yeah. Okay, so there's kind of the context as well of what the goal of the project is. Okay. Do you think there's any way that you could get somebody who's just doing it for a grade? I'm just asking because my son and daughters are struggling with this too. Is there any way that you could get somebody who thinks it's just a grade to find some motivation, some sort of intrinsic motivation?
Yeah, I definitely think there is. I know a lot of times I'm the person like kind of like you tell people to do this, you tell them the deadline, and then it's past the deadline, and I'm just like, okay, do you want me to do your part or what? But I guess maybe having a conversation with them like at the next class and being like, okay, so I see you didn't do your part again. Were you having a trouble finding something, or like what was the deal with that? And seeing
Yeah.
They usually tell you a reason why. Like, they're like, oh, I didn't know I had to do that. It's like, well, how many times am I supposed to tell you? But
Well, okay. And the thought that I wanted to close with is that one of the most powerful questions is why. And so if you can actually try to understand why somebody is either doing or not doing something, a lot of times that can be really helpful. Have you guys ever heard of the exercise of the 5 whys? So this is a really fun exercise. And you can use it on yourself too. But whenever you really want to try to understand what somebody is thinking and feeling, you can ask them a question, and then you ask them why, but you ask them 5 times why. So maybe we'll play a game with somebody who hasn't participated yet. Anybody want to ask me a question, and then you get to ask me 5 whys? Oh, come on, it's not that complicated. Okay, so why did I start Financeability? That's my company. Why did I start Financeability? Well, so the first reason is because I wanted to create a business on my own, right? And so then you would ask me, why? Because I didn't feel like I was treated fairly. It feels a little silly, but it's actually really helpful because I didn't feel like I was being treated fairly in the companies that I worked in before. Because I thought it was that I was younger than everyone, and because quite often I was the only woman there, and so I wanted to get out of banking. Because I felt like I could actually make a bigger difference in the world if I was able to do exactly what I wanted, as opposed to having to conform to what other people thought I was supposed to do, right? And just so you know, through that process, I had to think about my answers, which made me start to wonder, why am I really doing this? And a lot of times that's a good way to get to understanding, especially with people who maybe aren't participating in a way that you would like them to. Sometimes they start to ask themselves why, and they'll say, oh, because I was tired. Why were you tired? Oh, because I stayed up too late. Why'd you stay up too late? Oh, because I was behind on all the other homework that I didn't do either, right? And sometimes you can actually get to a problem that you can help them solve so that then they're able to do what it is that you want them to do. So if you're wondering and you're struggling with communication, sometimes the 5 whys can be a really interesting experiment to run. And sometimes it's just fun to ask yourself the 5 questions, right? The 5 whys, because you don't really know why you're doing something until you dig that deep. And I will be around later if you guys have questions about Venture Devils. Happy to tell you about that experience as a mentor and what some of our teams are doing. But now I think we're going to turn it over to Christian to talk about his company.
All right, hi, I'm Christian. I'm kind of the student venture example to pitch to you guys to give you, I guess, some insight on what Venture Devil how to prepare for Venture Devils, because Pitch Playoffs is coming up. You have to submit your videos this weekend, I'm pretty sure, and then on demo day you're going to have to do a live pitch of your venture. Is everyone doing a venture by raise of hands? No one? Okay, are you guys like engineers, kind of professionals, looking to join startups potentially? No? Yes, some of you? Okay, just quick so I know what the audience is. How many of you are engineers looking to join a startup? Raise your hands. Okay, and how many of you are entrepreneurs starting your own company? Raise your hands. Okay, interesting. So I guess everyone else is just here to learn, here to take in the experience, see what it's all about. Okay, so I guess I'll go into my pitch and then we can go into questions afterwards, either about the pitch or just career questions, how to get involved, things like that. So I can go ahead and start at the pitch. So hi, my name is Christian. I'm one of the co-founders of iWander. iWander is a marketplace of unique local itineraries. We allow users to create and sell personal itineraries to other travelers. And it all started out of the frustration on every one of my trips, not being able to find unique experiences that embraced me and the culture of the area. I found the same tourist attractions that have been there for decades, or expensive guided tours of things that I could do on my own. And what put me over the top was being in New York City one of the most culturally rich cities in the world, and not being able to find authentic New York City experiences. And I've seen other travelers have the same experience that I've had and try to stitch together different solutions with various tools. But even with all of the modern technological efficiencies, it still takes several hours to find and plan unique activities for your trip. And we also all have unique perspectives on different destinations, places that you can't find online, places that you take your family and friends to when they come to visit. We wanted to create a platform that allowed people to share these experiences, to give travelers a personal experience without the need for an in-person tour guide. And here's what it looks like. So say we landed in Hawaii. We can skip the login to start wandering. This will bring you to the itinerary marketplace, where you can see all the important information on the card. You can click on an itinerary that you're interested in to see more detailed ratings about the itinerary, logistical information about the person who posted it, the overview of the atlas, and tips from other travelers. When you decide to buy the atlas, you get access to all the experiences, and each individual experience comes with all of the relevant information as well. And each atlas or itinerary will save to your profile, where you can also add information about who you are as a traveler to connect with other travelers. And say you're not on a trip, you can go to the individual public experience feed with free experiences around your area. And of course, you also have different categories to filter down your search. So the market opportunity. Travel is becoming more accessible. There were 1.4 billion international trips in 2018, 1.8 billion domestic trips in the US alone, and the UNWTO reported that 42% of travelers are now embarking on adventure trips, resulting in an adventure travel market of $586 billion. And our business model is simple. We take 40% commission off of each transaction, and this may seem high compared to other marketplaces, but we've justified that to pay for transactional fees and other operational costs. And these are some projected numbers of what our revenue could look like in 3 years. Now, people understand that this has been a perennial problem, and there are many services trying to provide activities for travelers. However, all of them are either too touristy or uneconomical. And you can look at this matrix as Google. But the problem is that the top search results on Google are at the bottom of the matrix. And to find yourself at the top right, which is where consumer demand is, you have to navigate through a maze of subpar services. Our unique insight is that we understand that travelers today want the flexibility to quickly find and plan their trip on their own. They want to save money where they can, and most importantly, they want to be able to find unique and authentic experiences that interest them. Our market adoption is to first focus on organic growth to ensure that our solution meets the market need. Then we want to grow content on our platform. So we reach out to influencers and bloggers who are also incentivized to bring their communities onto our platform as well. And then next, we will want to grow our revenue. And this is when we'll target Airbnb and Uber users who tend to be early adopters to new technologies and have a higher purchasing power. Our team has a technical and business background that is built for rapid product development, testing, and iteration. And we're also being advised by a tech executive who has experience in the travel industry. Thank you so much. I'm Christian. This is where I wander. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.